All right, ready to dive in.
Yeah.
We're tackling music and how it affects, like, our decisions, you know?
Yeah,
Like how a song can pump you up or make you, I don't know, want to just chill.
definitely.
But it's deeper than just taste, right?
Yeah.
There's actual science to how music can sway what we choose.
Oh, absolutely. It's pretty amazing how music is like wired into us. We don't always think about it, but it messes with our emotions, our brains, even like who we are culturally.
Exactly. So we're going deep on this description of a podcast. It's called Sound Decisions
Okay.
by Haptic R&D Consulting. And they're all about how music, like the genre, the speed, how we listen, it all changes our decisions.
It's like some hidden code we've been running on without knowing.
Love that. Let's start simple. Music's setting the mood for our choices. I mean, we know it makes us feel things, but how does that change what we do?
Well, think about it. Calming music, it often slows your heart, your breathing, you get relaxed. And when you're chilled out, you don't take as many risks. You go for the safe option.
Right, right.
But put on something with energy, upbeat, it's like your brain is getting hyped up, more likely to take a chance then.
So, big money decision coming up, maybe skip the heavy metal.
Could be smart. Everyone's different. Taste matters. But yeah, knowing how music preps our feelings helps us choose better.
Makes total sense. Now, something I've wondered, is background music different from really listening?
Huge difference. Passive listening, like music while you work, can be good for routine stuff. But if it's too complex, like lyrics you're trying to follow, studies show that can actually hurt your focus, especially if you need to concentrate.
Ah, so that's why I can't write with my pop bangers on.
Exactly. But active listening, where you're really in the music, that can actually make your decisions better. You process stuff deeper, tap into your gut feeling, you choose more thoughtfully.
So, big decisions, make a playlist, really tune in.
Worth trying. It might help you connect with what you really want, choices that match your values better. You could even try music that, like, matches the mood you're after or the outcome you want.
Now that's a power move. Okay, risk takers, people who love a good gamble. Is there a link between the music they like and how much they'll risk?
There is. It's pretty cool. Research has shown that certain types of music, certain speeds, can actually make us more likely to take a chance. Fast, intense music, like, think high-energy dance stuff, creates this, like, urgency, excitement. Your brain's primed to be bolder.
So it's like the music is giving you that little push to go outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. Like athletes, they use those pump-up playlists before competing, right? It hypes them up, makes them confident, more willing to risk it on the field.
Man, I got to rethink my whole music library now. So we got mood, how we listen, risk-taking, it's all tied to music. What about when things get stressful? Does music help or hurt when the pressure's on?
Good one. And the answer's tricky. Music can totally relieve stress, especially if it's calming, familiar. It takes your mind off the bad stuff, creates a sense of peace. Think nature sounds, gentle instrumental music during a tough workday.
I do that all the time. Helps me focus when things are crazy.
But here's the thing. Sometimes if you add music to something already hard, it can overload your brain. Too complex, or if it's jarring, it fights for your attention, you get mentally tired and you make worse decisions.
So head banging to metal while trying to do my taxes? Probably not the best idea.
Probably not. It's about finding what fits the task. Sometimes silence is best, lets your brain just focus.
Right, it's really personal then. Now, this is cool. Emotional valence, basically. How happy or sad music can literally steer our choices.
It's amazing how music gets into our feelings without us knowing and then guides what we do. Like when you're listening to upbeat, happy stuff, you tend to feel more optimistic, more confident, so you act more decisively, you're more open to new things.
So if I'm unsure about something, some positive tunes might give you the courage to go for it.
It's possible. And the opposite's true too. Feeling down, anxious, listening to sad music might make those feelings worse. You choose more cautiously, hesitate more.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. It's not just the music, it's how it mixes with how we're already feeling. This is changing how I think about music, seriously.
That's what's great about this. You become aware of these subtle ways music is shaping things, and then you can choose better.
This is mind-blowing already.
Well,
Now, I gotta ask, is this the same across cultures? Does everyone react to music the same way?
super interesting question, and it gets to how our culture where we're from shapes how we understand music. Some emotional stuff seems universal, but rhythms, melodies, even what genres mean, it's different everywhere.
So what's upbeat and motivating here could be sad or even like chaotic somewhere else.
Exactly. Even happy or sad music, it has different meanings depending on the culture. It's like dialects of a language. We're all speaking music, but the accent changes.
Makes me think of how music's used differently around the world, like ceremonies, parties, even just daily life.
Shows how powerful music is, right? It goes beyond borders, but it also has these unique cultural fingerprints that make our experience individual.
All right, gotta ask what everyone's thinking. Stores play music. Is that just for vibes, or is there something sneakier going on?
Oh, it's way more than just ambiance. Stores have known forever that music changes how people shop. The speed, the genre, it affects how long you stay, what you look at, even how much you're willing to spend.
So this like subconscious shopping list manipulation.
Think of it as a nudge. Fast music, you walk faster; slower music, you browse more. And genres create feelings, like calm music in fancy stores makes you feel luxurious, okay, with higher prices.
I'll never hear store music the same way again. It's like a secret marketing strategy playing through the speakers.
It's all about the psychology of it, how music can shape how we see things, and the choices we make because of it.
Okay, let's get creative. Tons of people swear by music for work, especially brainstorming, problem solving. Does it really make us more creative?
Complicated one. For some, music is pure inspiration. Blocks out the world, they get in the zone, new ideas pop up.
Like writing a novel with classical music playing.
Could work, but it's about what works for you. For others, silence is best for creativity. Depends on the person, how our brains handle different sounds.
No one-size-fits-all creativity playlist then.
Not really. Best thing is to experiment, different genres, see what gets your imagination going. Maybe nature sounds, ambient stuff calms you down so your mind can wander. Maybe it's upbeat music with a strong beat that gets you going.
I like that. Try stuff out. Now, this might make some folks uneasy. Can music mess with our ethics, our moral compass?
This is a fascinating area of research, but we got to be careful about it. Some studies say that some music can trigger strong feelings, and that might temporarily change our moral judgments. But it's not that music makes us good or bad.
So listening to heavy metal won't turn me into a supervillain.
Exactly. It's way more subtle. It's about how music sets up our emotional state, and then those emotions might play into how we decide stuff, especially when there's right and wrong involved.
So it's like music creates the background mood, and that colors how we see ethical problems, how we react.
Perfect way to put it. It's about realizing music isn't just sounds, it's this powerful thing that interacts with our brains, our emotions, deeper than we think.
It makes me think about how movies use music.
Yeah.
To make you feel a certain way about the characters, their choices. Like a villain with scary music, we think they're even more evil.
Exactly. Filmmakers, they know how to use music to get those emotions going, to shape how we see the story.
Okay, final deep dive on this. Let's get scientific. What's going on in our brains when we listen to music that's messing with our decision-making?
This is where it gets super cool. Neuroscience is figuring out how the brain reacts to music, and the imaging studies, they're incredible. They can literally see which parts of your brain light up when you listen, and it's fascinating.
So what's the deal? We got a music decision-making center in there.
Not that simple, but close. Music lights up a whole bunch of brain areas. One's for emotions, memory, feeling good, and the big one, the prefrontal cortex.
Prefrontal cortex rings a bell.
That's the control center, the boss of your brain. Planning, decisions, stopping yourself from doing dumb stuff. And music can directly change how active this part is.
So it's like music is giving our brain CEO a pep talk or telling them to chill out, depending on the song.
Perfect. For example, calming music can make the prefrontal cortex more active, so maybe you make smarter, more rational decisions.
So big negotiation, life choice, some chill music beforehand could give me an edge.
Worth a shot. And the opposite, if it's super stimulating music, really gets you going, it might dial down the prefrontal cortex, you get impulsive, don't think as much.
Trying to stick to my budget. Maybe skip the store blasting techno then.
Good idea. Knowing this brain stuff lets us choose music better, especially when we gotta think clearly.
This is wild. You think someday we'll have like personalized music based on our brain, the decisions we got to make?
That's a cool thought and not impossible. Imagine brain scans, figuring out exactly what music makes your brain work best for different stuff.
Like a custom soundtrack for your brain to help you perform at your best.
Exciting research, right? The more we know about music and the brain, the more we can use it to boost our thinking, make better choices.
This is incredible. Part 1 down, and we've covered a ton. Music sets the mood. How we listen matters. It messes with our brains. Way more than just background noise. It's shaping our thoughts, our feelings, and what we decide to do.
barely scratched the surface of this topic. It's amazing.
Join us for part 2. We'll keep going on this music and decision-making adventure. We'll get into the ethics more crazy research, and give you tips on how to use music to make your life better. Choices that actually get you where you want to be.
Back again, diving deeper into this music and decision-making thing.
Yeah, I'm hooked. Part 1, we learned how music can, change our mood, make us risky, even mess with our focus when things get tough. Crazy how much power music has over what we decide.
It really is. And as we go further, we'll see how these, simple melodies, rhythms, they're tapping into some serious brain stuff, psychology stuff, all affecting our choices.
Okay, before we get too specific again, can we zoom out? What's the big takeaway here?
What's fascinating is music isn't just something we're, passively taking in. It's actually shaping how we think, feel, what we do, often without us realizing it.
It's having a secret chat with our brains, telling us what to see, which path to pick.
Exactly. And the more we get that, the more we can use music to choose better.
No.
Be smarter about what music we're surrounded by.
So it's not just, does it sound good, but is it good for me, for what I want to achieve?
Right. It's about making a soundtrack for your life, one that helps you make the decisions you want to make, become who you want to be.
I love that. So everyone listening, think about your soundtrack as we go along. What helps you focus? What makes you feel confident? What gets you going? Pay attention to those little connections. See how you can use music better in your life.
It's like a secret weapon, but instead of some gadget, it's this thing that's been with us forever.
All right, let's get back to that music and morality thing. Tricky area, but important. You mentioned research saying music might affect our, ethical choices. What's that about?
It's complicated, and the research isn't always, super clear. But some of it suggests that certain music can, for a little while, make us feel certain emotions that then affect our moral judgments.
Okay, so what does that research even look like?
So some studies, they look at how different music affects how people react to these ethical dilemmas. Imagine a story where you have to make a tough choice, like helping someone, even if it's risky for you.
Right, that's like real-life decisions.
Exactly. And while they're listening to different music, they have to decide what's right in that situation.
So, calm music, intense music, no music, and then make a choice based on the story.
Yeah. And the results, they're not always the same across studies, but some show that people listening to aggressive music, they tend to judge more harshly, less empathy compared to the calm music or silence folks.
Interesting. The music is making them see the situation differently, messing with their right and wrong sense.
Remember, these studies are about connections, not like music makes you do something. Doesn't mean metalheads are all unethical, right? But it does show that music can kind of set you up emotionally, and that might then influence how you think morally.
This is making me think of how movies use music,
Yeah.
The bad guy always has creepy music, so we think they're even worse.
Great example. They know music adds that emotional layer, changes how we see what's happening, what the character's doing.
Okay, brain time again. What's happening up there when we listen to music that's affecting our choices?
Now, this is the cool stuff. Neuroscience is mapping out how the brain reacts to music, and it's mind-blowing what they're finding.
Get me with it. We got a music decision part of the brain now.
Not quite, but kinda.
Mm.
Music lights up a whole network in there, the parts for emotions, memory, that good feeling you get. And here's the VIP, the prefrontal cortex.
Prefrontal cortex. Yeah, I've heard that before.
That's the command center, the brain's CEO. Planning, decisions, keeps you from being impulsive. And get this, music can directly affect how much this part of your brain is working.
So music is coaching our brain's CEO, telling them to chill or get hyped based on the song.
Exactly. Studies show that calming music, it can make that prefrontal cortex more active. Maybe you think clearer, make more rational choices.
So tough decision, important life choice. Some chill tunes beforehand could help me out.
Could be worth it. And the opposite, if it's really stimulating, gets you going, it might make the prefrontal cortex chill out a bit so you're more impulsive, don't think things through as much.
Sticking to my budget at the mall. Maybe avoid the store with the crazy dance music blasting.
Smart move. Knowing this brain stuff lets us be smarter about music, especially when clear thinking is important.
This is amazing. You think one day we'll have, music picked just for us, based on our brain, the decisions we need to make?
Interesting idea, and honestly, not impossible. Imagine brain scans, They figure out exactly what music makes your brain work best for different situations.
Like a custom soundtrack for your brain to help you perform at your best.
The future of music, right?
Yeah.
The more we unlock, the more we can use it to improve ourselves, make better choices.
So much to think about. Music and morality, the brain stuff, even how stores use music on us. It's like a whole hidden world.
And we're only just getting started.
Before we go to the last part of this deep dive, let's recap for everyone listening.
Good idea. It's a lot to take in. Let's see how we can actually use this.
So first off, music's not just fun, it's a serious force, changing how we think, feel, act, big time.
And even if we don't realize it, it's always messing with our decisions, from small daily stuff to life-changing choices.
What kind of music matters too? Different genres, speeds, even how we listen, they all do different things to our brains, our choices.
So be careful what music you're around. Pick stuff that matches your goals, what you want out of life.
We also learned music can make our brains work better, make us better decision makers. Focusing, staying calm, being creative. Music can help with it all.
And the research keeps going, so we'll probably get even more personalized music in the future. Stuff to make our brains work at their peak.
So everyone listening, keep exploring this stuff. Pay attention to how music affects your own decisions. We'll be back soon with the final part of this music and decision-making adventure. More insights, more tips to use music to make your life better and help you make choices that actually get you where you want to be. We're back, final part of our music and decision-making deep dive.
It's been wild, right? Seeing how much music really affects what we choose.
Totally. We've uncovered so much, like how certain music pumps us up, all the brain stuff it triggers, crazy.
Yeah, and we even got into like the ethical side of it, using music to influence people, which is a whole other conversation.
For sure. Something to keep thinking about as we learn more. But before we wrap this up, I think we need to make this useful for everyone listening, Give them some actual takeaways.
Absolutely. Let's help people use music more intentionally, make it work for them.
Okay, so what can our listeners actually do, starting today, to use music to make better choices?
First thing, and this is key, just pay attention. Notice how different music makes you feel, how it might be changing your thinking, even your actions. Start to see how it affects your mood, your focus, even how you interact with other people.
So, become aware of the soundtrack that's always playing in the background of our lives.
Right, exactly. Once you're more tuned into that, you can be smarter about the music you're around. It's like creating your own personal sound world, one that helps you reach your goals, makes you feel better.
Okay, I get it. If I know I need to concentrate on something hard, maybe I ditch the high-energy pop and put on some calming instrumental stuff.
Exactly. Or feeling lazy, need some motivation, put on something upbeat, something that gets you moving, ready to take action. It's about knowing how different music affects why you, and then using that to your advantage.
Like a musical toolbox, different sounds for different situations.
Love it. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try new genres, different speeds, see how listening in different ways, really focus versus just having it on, how that changes things.
Maybe I'll find out classical music helps me concentrate,
Yeah.
or jazz makes me super creative. It's all about what works for my brain, my own goals.
That's it. Another thing, think about the context, the situation. If you need to think critically, make a really important decision. Maybe less is more, Minimize distractions, even music.
Right? Sometimes silence is the best soundtrack for making a good decision.
Totally. But other times, if you're stressed, overwhelmed, calming music can actually help you regulate those emotions so you decide better. It's all about using music strategically, create the right headspace for what you got to do.
This makes me think about what we talked about before, how stores use music on shoppers.
Oh yeah, great example of how music can steer decisions, even if we don't realize it. They pick music super carefully to set the mood, affect how you move through the store, how you interact with stuff.
It's crazy how much thought goes into the music we hear everywhere. Stores, restaurants, even just walking down the street.
It's the power of sound, right? It can shape how we see things, nudge us towards certain choices. The more aware we are of that, the better choices we can make about the sounds we're surrounded by.
This has been mind-blowing, honestly.
Thanks.
And we've just scratched the surface, haven't we?
So much more to learn about music, our brains, and how it all connects to our choices. But even with what we know now, we can start using music more intentionally, make our lives better, and make choices that actually match what we believe in, what we want to achieve.
I think we've given everyone a lot to think about, a lot to try out.
I hope so. This whole deep dive, I hope it's made people curious about music, how much power it really has. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Before we go, one last thought for everyone. Now that you know how much music can shape your choices, What are you going to do about it?
Are you going to be more intentional about the music you listen to? Really pay attention to how it makes you think, feel, act. Keep exploring, keep experimenting. Find out how music can make your life richer and help you make choices that are truly in tune with who you are.
That's a great way to end this. Thanks for coming along on the sonic adventure with us. Hope you've enjoyed it and that you'll keep discovering how powerful music can be in your own life.